Joining us in the studio, Kanetso Matabane, NUM Regional Chairperson, and we're joined by Peter Major, who is a mining analyst on the phone line. Good evening to you, gentlemen, and thanks so much for joining us. Let's just start with why mining companies always plead poverty and saying that the biggest value item on the list is labor, and therefore that would be the casualty. Are they acting in good faith, in your view? Matabane.
Well, thank you very much. Good evening. As NUM, we believe that the mines, especially Sibanye, does not really act in good faith, because the operation that it is now seeking to put it under care and maintenance, it bought it in 2014. And I'm sure you'll understand that for them to buy a mine, they will have gone through due diligence study, and they would have gone through, exploration reports, which all those documents will actually show that buying cooks is a healthy decision, or it's making a business case. So from 2014 up until today, immediately after 2014, they started by closing down Cook 4. And they refused all other alternative measures that we wanted to put for the survival of the mine. And today, they are now closing up Cook 1, Cook 2, and Cook 3. The reasons, to us as members of NUM, we believe that they are not reasonable at all, because the grade is not a problem. They're mining a very healthy grade. They do not complain about grade. Production performance is not an issue. We are in agreement that production has improved. They're just arguing that it is not sustainable. So we do not really understand the reasons as to why do they want to retrench employees.
Let's ask Mr. Peter Major. Good evening to you, and thanks for joining us. In the sense that normal operations are still being conducted as per requirements, the grade and production output being at the levels that needs to sustain the mine. Do you think that the imbalance of power or the ability to shed labor has become almost second nature with mining companies without finding other alternatives in securing jobs?
You know, Cindy, in this business, the investment business and the mining business, they say the trend is your friend. And that means whatever trend you spot, that trend is probably going to stay in place unless a lot of people do a lot of big things to change that trend. Now, if you look at the trend in our gold mines, the trend is they have been losing more money every year, and they've been shedding more labor every year. And the more money they lose, the more mines they close. So in the last 20, 25 years, we've closed 3/4 of our gold mines. Now, investors, you need investors to keep a mine going. You definitely need investors to open a mine. But no investor wants to put his money in a place where he's not going to get his money back with a real good return. So our gold industry and our platinum industry have been losing billions for many years now, and the foreign investors are just petrified of our mines, and the local investors are petrified. So there's just nobody to put money into these mines, so they're all going to close.
Yeah, Mr. Major, just draw the correlation between the locally listed companies that have that are also duly listed on international markets, the New York or the Dow, etc.
Right.
In how the resources locally are subsidizing operations internationally. Could that be an attributing factor to why jobs are being shed?
No, it's the opposite. More money is coming from outside the country to subsidize. These gold mines we've got, they're all losing money. More than half our platinum mines are losing money. And say platinum, that's an international, Amplats, Impala, London, those are listed internationally and local. But the international investors say we're not putting any more money in. We put money in for years and years, and it's gone poof, it's gone. We're not putting any more money in.
All right, from the union side, do you agree with this explanation that it is indeed about a global pattern in terms of commodities are being under pressure and investors being jittery? That would be you, Ramataba.
Well, firstly, I want to respond to this issue that he is talking about the trend. Their third quarter report, it shows that the Sibanye has made a profit. Now, to us, that clearly shows that Sibanye still has money. Secondly, where they would have money to buy all these mines, because Cook's operations and other Sibanye operations in South Africa are the main, operations that are actually have been existing. So where did they got the money to go international and buy these mines, to go and buy platinum mines? So it actually, to us, concludes that they actually have money from these operations, Sibanye Cook's operations, and that is the money that they bought Stillwater and they bought platinum mines with. And on top of that, Sibanye has a lot of money. It's just that they don't want to spend it here in South Africa. Even in, they also actually loaned Stillwater a very, big amount, above 300 million rands. You see, so that clearly shows that they're having a money that they can use better for South Africa.
All right, just hold the thought. We have Paul Motaung, Deputy Chairperson of COSATU in the West Rand. Mr. Motaung, thanks so much for joining us. Would you say that the union has failed its mandate in securing the livelihood of so many mine workers? Almost on a monthly, we hear announcements of retrenchments. What is it that you can do in this clearly power imbalance from a labor point of view?
No, thank you so much for having me. The first part is that we've had attempts in speaking to Sibanye, and in all of these times they've displayed arrogance in a sense that they do not want to listen to us as part of labor. But over and above us representing labor, we also represent the aspirations of the community at large, government, because we also lead the bigger spectrum that also comes from government. One, when we negotiated with Sibanye in good faith through the NUM, Sibanye refused to take even options that would have raised. Surely you would have heard the interviews that would have had during the day that we expressed that we went a couple of times to Sibanye. We further went to the Department of Mineral Resources to try and explain our case. We laid options, but still the mine is arrogant and it does not want to listen to us and whatever that we are coming with.
Yeah, Mr. Major, that in itself, I know that business is about profits, but if workers that have been dedicated to the operations and they've done their bit and the system fails them purely because the mining house decides to dump a particular expansion program that has eroded their profits or whatever other external factors, do you think that this particular approach or attitude is sustainable? Mr. Major?
No, nothing's sustainable what we've been seeing. These mines running at losses are not sustainable. They're going to close, and nobody can stop them from closing because the environment is too difficult to operate in. Eskom's prices have gone up fourfold, 400%, and not even the last 10 years. Can you imagine your electricity going up 400% and the platinum price and the gold price are the same? And labor costs go up 8, 9, 10%, but the productivity is back where it was 50 years ago. We have to produce more than we did 50 years ago per man, but we don't. So, no, this is not sustainable, and that's why they're going to close. Them staying running with losses is not sustainable, and they're all going to close.
So even if the unions go there with a begging bowl or any other innovative ways of trying to save jobs, it's a fait accompli, it's a done deal. So there's nothing they can do, you say?
There's no money. Nobody will give the mines money. They're running at a loss. Who's going to give them money? The banks won't give them money. Maybe the government can nationalize these mines because only the government has enough money. Foreign investors don't want to put money in our mines because everything they put in the last 15 years they've lost. So maybe the government will put money in and nationalize them. I think that's the only chance.
All right, Mr. Motaung, your response to that? Mr. Motaung?
You see this thing that mines, that there's no productivity in terms of mines, it's not true. When you buy a mine, you prepare a plan to say you'd be able to mine in this particular area for a particular time. Once Sibanye bought these operations in 2014, in the same year, 2014, they closed Cook 4, which is a Zuluini, that they are putting it under care and maintenance. All of a sudden, in 2017, just in less than 5 years' time, they want to close the whole operation. And their reason is still the same, care and maintenance. Just some 2-3 months back, they made profits. And it was out there that they've made profits. Now they change, they want to close the mine 2 months down the line. What is the rationale around that? Because they need to take us through a process. When you close the mine, you put the mine under Section 52 first before you go to Section 189. So if you want to do these processes concurrently, it becomes wrong because of it seems like there are things that you are hiding in the process. So in all of those things, you need to be able to take us through a process. Let's leave profit issues. You can deal with profits that you want to do. Why take money and invest it overseas if you've got issues here that you're not making money? Because what the mine was supposed to do was to take the labor component into part to say, since the beginning of the year, we've not had profits. This is how we're going to downsize. Are we going to start with the first shaft? Because you can't do the 3 shafts at the same time.
Yeah, but Mr. Motaung, what I'm getting here from Mr. Major is that the mining houses, as investors and with their shareholders, they're obligated to have the best returns on investment. And if that is not a projection that they can see in the near future, they have all the right to close shop and nothing can be done.
No, we don't believe in that. Because when they bought the mine, they had a plan. Their plan spoke to 2036, 2037. Why all of a sudden that the mine is not productive? They've not told us the gold reserves that they have as the mine first. Because that is the part that Section 52 has to uncover, to say in terms of uranium, how much do you have? In terms of gold, how much do you have? The mine is refusing to tell us that. And that is the part that we want to know, because if you want to keep engineers and you fire your general laborers, what are you saying to us? Yet you still have got gold reserves underground. They've said it clearly in one of the meetings that in terms of gold is mineable, but they want to close. So they're not giving us sufficient reasons. These things of them not being able to sustain the mine and everything, it's here nor there.
All right, just stay with us, Mr. Motaung and Mr. Major, Mr. Matabane. The level of scrutiny or engagement that the unions are permitted at the negotiating table, are you able to get to the reports or investigate where the company may be untruthful with regards to saving jobs?
Well, thank you very much. We think that we are unable because of the attitude and behavior of Sibanye management. It is very arrogant in that we have tried under Section 189 process, in the consultation process, that we come up with avoidance measures where we were proposing that why don't we jointly, together with Sibanye, invite technical aspects to come and investigate the underground situation and come up with the recommendations that will at least help us to understand, or as to understand how best can we mine. Sibanye rejected that, and we also proposed that instead of actually effecting this retrenchment at a go, let us approach this retrenchment in a staggered way, so that at least it must not hit hard to the workers. And that was refused. We proposed that let us jointly apply for a training layoff. Sibanye rejected that. Then we said, okay, why don't you give us 2 or 3 months unpaid leave, so that you have your own space, you deal with your replanning, redesigning of the operation, and they rejected that as well. And I think what must be actually clarified by this guy, it's Peter Major. Are they now taken a decision to completely close Sibanye or not? Because during Section 189, they said, no, there is no definitive answer as to closure or not. Now, care and maintenance, they are actually abusing this, because they are abusing this concept because, in our view, care and maintenance must at least have a program that will tell.
Yeah, let's get Mr. Major to respond on that, and we appreciate you as a mining analyst and not necessarily representing a particular mining house, but the obligation on the employer to at least allow negotiations, allow for participation and how to save jobs. Is this overreach? Is this asking for too much in your view?
No, this is a very reasonable request. But my concern is we've been talking for 25 years, and the mines keep closing, they keep losing money, and people keep losing their jobs. So either we're talking to the wrong people, or we're not saying the right things, or we're not asking the right questions. Something's wrong here, because we're talking all the time that mines keep closing, people keep getting laid off, and the mines keep losing money. So something's going wrong here. We're not talking the right stuff. We're not asking the right questions. I don't know. But this talking, it hasn't done any good. It's only done bad. So we got to change what we're doing somehow.
One of the proposals was that there needs to be more research done, in exploration, so you can estimate what the lifespan is of the mine and what technology and investment is required, so we prevent even coming to the point of losing jobs. What is your view on that?
Well, when the mines used to make money, they used to put a big chunk of that money into research and development. They used to put a big chunk of that money into capital expenditure. But when you start losing money, when you're not making any money, you don't have anything to put into R&D. You don't have anything to put into CAPEX. So, yes, we've increased wages for the people who didn't lose their jobs, but what good is that? It's like kicking a bunch of people off an airplane so a few more can fly business class. That's no good if you kick off 3/4 of the airplane because they have to stay in economy. We haven't been talking correctly, and we haven't been doing the right things, and now it's almost too late.
Mr. Major, let's give Mr. Matabane a chance to respond. Your view in that we need to do things differently for a better outcome. What in the immediate, at least, can be done to effect change?
Well, firstly, maybe we need to clarify this approach, that putting the mine on care and maintenance does not help workers at all. It does not help communities at all. If you are to put the mine on care and maintenance, at least you must have a program that is going to tell as to what will you be doing by that time when the mine is on care and maintenance. Secondly, at least we will want to know the duration, that for how long is the mine going to be under care and maintenance. But as of now, we think that Sibanye is abusing this concept, care and maintenance. It is really abusing it because during Section 189, they refused to confirm if they have taken a decision to totally close the mines. And, sorry, we are saying right now we need Sibanye must be flexible enough. It must agree if it cannot be able to mine at all.
But I think the question is, are they legally bound? Are they obliged to take your proposals, or is it their prerogative to retrench and close shop as and when they feel their profits are being eroded?
Legally, they are bound to consult the unions, the stakeholders. And in the consultation process, we think that it is making sense that our views must be considered by management. We are a stakeholder. Now, where we are is that if they have taken a decision that they don't want to mine at all, nobody forces them to mine. If even the analyst is saying if gold is not there, it is not there, they cannot actually put money on explorations, they are losing. So if they feel that they are losing, then it's fine, let them close. But they must surrender the mining right license to DMR. So that DMR has a responsibility to take care of all the South Africans, that at least they must actually get jobs. It will be the duty of DMR to market these resources that we're having here in South Africa.
Okay, Mr. Major, for you, another option there for the Department of Mineral Resources to revoke the license in the interest of protecting jobs.
Look, I think before they revoke it, they should make sure they have a plan what they're going to do with it. Because if they revoke it, it means they now have that license. What are they going to do with it? And who's going to protect the mine? Because the Zama-Zamas and the communities are going to ransack the mine. They're going to destroy all the equipment, what they can't steal, and then nobody will have it. So the DMR is very stretched right now. They have a huge stretch of their manpower, a stretch of their budget, and I don't know that the DMR knows how to market mines, because we've got 6,000 abandoned mines, and every day we have a few more. So I think the DMR, their specialty is not marketing mines, and it's not running mines.
All right, Mr. Peter Major, mining analyst and expert, thank you so much for joining us on the phone line. And we close with Mr. Paul Modau, who's the Deputy Chairperson of COSATU in the West Rand. Are you going to lobby the Department of Mineral Resources to intervene?
Yes, thanks. On the 30th, last week Monday, we went to the Department of Mineral Resources, tabled our case in terms of why should Sibanye hand over their mining license. The first part that we discovered is that Sibanye on its own is not putting its cards on the table with the mineral resources. As I would have stated, the first case with the 2014 issue, now they want to close, but still there's a court interdict on the 2014 case that was investigated. There's a commission that was put in place. It has not reported back. Hence, we are insisting that Sibanye has to take back the license to the DMR. Precisely because of if anyone else is interested in mining in the Cook operations, those people must be given an opportunity.
All right, Mr. Modau, we're going to have to leave it there. We're out of time, but thanks indeed. And nonetheless, I'm Paul Modau, Deputy Chair of COSATU West Rand, and Kanezo Matabane, NUM Regional Chairperson in studio. Thanks to all our guests. Because we take a quick break. Up next, the beautiful game. We'll see you again tomorrow. From myself and the crew, be abundantly blessed.